Good morning. So, I've added this here to part 3 because there's so many people that still just can't see it and can't see the astoundment of what I've shown you. So, let's put it in really simple terms here. Okay. For everybody who still thinks I'm wrong, let's just put it in plain numbers. You've got about a 230 million to 1. 230 million to 1 chance that your version is right over mine statistically. Yet you still cling to it because facing the truth means admitting everything you were taught about these lakes, about geology, about history is a lie. And that's uncomfortable. But this isn't just a debate, it's world changing. Because 16 out of the 16 so-called natural lakes show the exact same excavation fingerprint. Then the whole story of how our world was shaped has to be rewritten. So statistically, I've got a 230 million to 1 edge over your institutional-based conclusion. And here's the deeper problem. Most people are still trapped in the Newtonian thinking, boxed into a materialist framework that can't explain what's right in front of their eyes. So when evidence shows up that rewrites the story, they reject it. Not because it's wrong, but because it breaks the model they've been taught to worship. Now let me explain this to my 4-year-old self, little Josh. Little Josh, I have a hard question for you. Imagine if we did a math problem and it told us there was a 230 million to 1 chance that something was correct versus being wrong. To make it easier, let's use your Matchbox cars. On one side of the hill, I give you 1 car. On the other side, I give you 230 million cars stacked up. Now, which side do you think has the better chance of being right? The single car or the mountain of 230 million cars? That's what this discovery means. The numbers themselves tell you which side wins. And let me be clear. We identified these lakes before we even knew about the sand dunes. We didn't pick them because of the dunes. We picked them because of their basin construction, their shapes, their scale, and their positioning mirrored the Great Lakes in a way that screamed excavation. Then later came the dunes, and the dunes were the nail in the coffin. That was all I needed, the spoil piles sitting right there in plain sight. And yet, even with the pits, the slurry outflows, the mud fallout, and now the dune rims, there are still so many of you who deny it. And here's the part most people don't want to face. The institutions that feed you Newtonian models, the ones that keep you stuck in the fiat slavery system, poisoned by food and medicine, imprisoned without walls, they are the modern slave masters. Ask yourself, if you were on a plantation in the 1700s or 1800s, would your slave master tell you the truth? Of course not. His job is to keep you a slave. Yet today, people put these institutional voices on a pulpit as if they were holy, as if it's doctrine. They condition you to defend the chains that hold you. The truth of the dunes, the spoils, the excavation fingerprints, it rips the veil off their lies. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's why I call this the Great Awakening. Because I'm literally showing you that the entire reality you thought you knew is a lie. Because it's only the Great Awakening if you can get awake. If I can get you to finally see it. And that's what this is all about. Have you ever been to a lake in your entire life? Have you been to any lake in your entire life? What does the lake look like? It always has a little beach. Why does every lake always have a little beach? Because there's always a particulate pile. Now look, do I need to like clockwork orange? Look, these are all excavated. So are all the other ones. It's right in front of your face. I don't know what else to do to get you to see it. It is so in front of your freaking face, I don't know what else to do. You can't say it wasn't. I don't care where. There's natural forming lakes, yes. Those won't have beaches. All the other ones, they're man-made. If there is a big sand dune pile, if there's a little beach, it's freaking man-made. End of story. All right, now I'll jump into part 3. This is part 3, the Slurry Sediment Deluge, the Grand Canyon, and the Lost Grids. We've already proven in part 2, the Great Lakes weren't carved by glaciers, they were excavated. The dunes are their spoil rims, the slurry flows their fingerprint, the mud rains their fallout. Now let's scale that forward. I want you to feel the scope before we zoom in. This wasn't just a local mud flood, it was a slurry sediment deluge. A coordinated burial system that hit sky, land, and sea at once. Sky, engineered plumes, seeded storm bands, so rain arrived preloaded with fine particulate. It's already in the rain. Entire towns woke up coated in mud. Land, liquefied earth ran like moving ground, climbing streets, swallowing first floors, leaving basement windows that used to be ground level. Seas, rivers delivered finds into coasts, deltas bloomed, shorelines shifted, seabeds smothered cities. And it moved in pulses, not a single global wipe. The Great Lakes pulse, the Victoria pulse, the Baikal-Caspian pulses, regions buried while others stayed strangely clean. This wasn't chaos, it was staged demolition. When we talk about resets, most people imagine one cataclysm sweeping the whole world at once. But what if that's not how it works at all? What if resets are phased, engineered pulses, one region at a time? Step 1 is always the same. A basin gets excavated, huge amounts of material are pulled out. That's the so-called missing soil, the missing copper, the missing stone. Step 2, the slurry doesn't vanish, it gets redistributed regionally. Step 3, it buries towns, cities, and whole civilizations. Step 4, the operators just move on to the next region. It's methodical, it's cyclic, it's engineered. And the pulses overlap. You'll see North America pulsing while Europe is still being buried. Europe is pulsing while Asia is already being prepared. It's not random destruction, it's a relay system. Wave after wave, each one overlapping the last. The deluge doesn't just happen, it's directed. That's why you see these layers in the archaeological world. That's why cathedrals end up half buried, why star forts are drowned in mud, why whole cities peek out from beneath 10 feet of slurry. They weren't natural disasters. They were engineered slurry deluges, running on phased reset cycles. The operators knew exactly what they were doing because they were resetting not just the land, but the memory of the people living on it. The westward slurry routes. Now people ask, how could anything from the Great Lakes touch the west? The mistake is imagining one giant hose. That's not how resets work. They open multiple conveyors at once, stacking their effects on the Pacific edge. Great Lakes, Mississippi superplume, air assist west. The Great Lakes breach blows through the Chicago portage into the Mississippi. That inland sea throws heat and moisture skyward. And in reset clocks, you get cutoff lows and retrograde flows. Atmospheric rivers that arc west, dropping mud rains hundreds of miles away. Agassiz Superior outbursts, Missouri High Plains, sheet floods. Northern lobes spill into the Souris, Missouri system. Not a river, an inland ocean. Sheet floods across the Dakotas and Nebraska shove slurry against the Rockies. Cordilleran megafloods triggered in sync. While the lakes pulse, the west pops in parallel. Missoula megafloods down in the Columbia. Boonville flood down the Snake, Columbia. Yellowstone melt drain events. All carving the specific amount, the same moment the Great Lake plume runs east and north. Not downstream, synchronized taps. We'll move on to the next part here. Hope you have a great day. Namaste.